Are you feeling lucky today? Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these fun little 4-leaf clovers. The pattern is just a 4-leaf clover pattern. Simple little pattern. It's on my blog, and I'll put that link down below in the comments for you. And on the pattern, you can make it with 4 leaves, or you can make it with 3 leaves. It's just a fun little pattern. And the pattern today, we're going to be using our H hook. That is a 5mm. You're going to need a small needle, a pair of scissors, and of course some yarn. And the yarn that I used for this pattern, all of these, is worsted weight number 4 yarn. And this bright green is what I'm going to use for my demonstration today. These are all Red Heart worsted weight yarns, and then this is Red Heart with Love. So any worsted weight number 4 yarn will work just fine for this fun little applique. It's a great way to use up some of your scraps too. If you've got some extra green of all different shades laying around, it takes very, very little. Now the little applique measures about 2 by 2 inches. And so it's a great size to put on just about anything. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is make our slip knot. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to stitch 8 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. If you want to make a 3-leaf clover, you're going to only stitch 6 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. So for the 4-leaf clover, we need to stitch 8 single crochets. For the 3-leaf clover, we need to stitch 6 single crochets. We're going to be making the 4-leaf clover today, so we're going to stitch 8 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll get that extra tail out of the way. 5, 6, move them around a little, 7 and 8 single crochets. We're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now, you may have a hole. Don't worry about it. I'll show you how to close that when we finish our little 4-leaf clover. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch and chain 2. So then in the next stitch, we're going to stitch 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 1. Pull my yarn out here, getting a little tangled. All right, now we're going to place a slip stitch in that same stitch that we stitched those 3 double crochets. So we're going to go right in there and we're going to do a slip stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch in the next single crochet and chain 2. And you can see we've formed our first leaf of our 4-leaf clover. All right, so we slip stitched and chain 2 in that next single crochet. So in the next single crochet, we're going to place 3 double crochets again. There's 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to slip stitch right in that same stitch that we stitched those 3 double crochets. So we slip stitch, then we slip stitch in the next single crochet, and now we have 2 of our leaves. All right. So now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to place 3 double crochets in the next stitch, like we've been doing. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. My yarn wants to be naughty today. All right, so we're going to slip stitch right back in that same place where we stitched those double crochets. Then we're going to slip stitch in the next single crochet. And now if you are doing just a 3 leaf, because you only stitched 6 single crochets at the beginning, you'll be ready for your stem. But because we stitched 8 single crochets, we are planning on making a 4-leaf clover. So we're going to chain 2, 3 double crochets in that next stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Again, slip stitch in that same stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch in that last single crochet. Now, if you only have 3 petals like this one, you do this next step exactly the same. We're going to chain 6. Then we're going to slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. Make sure you pull that loop down a little or you end up with a big loop at the bottom. There we go. And then we're going to slip stitch right back up that chain. And then we'll slip stitch right back in that same single crochet that we started with. And then we're going to cut our yarn and tie off. So there's our stem, and the way that you do this, it kind of has a natural curl over, which makes it look really cute. And so now we need to weave in our ends and take care of that little hole. So let's turn our little clover over. So we'll finish the hole first. So we're going to thread that beginning piece of yarn into our needle. And then those little stitches around on the back of our first row of single crochet, we're going to simply stitch around, going in those stitches, and we'll just gently give it a little tug, and as we go around it will close. And then once we got it closed, we just go up and go back the same way we came. There we go. Because we want to make sure that yarn's going to stay put. There we go. All right, and then I just give it a good snug tug. I usually push on it with my scissors a little and then clip. So now the hole in our clover, there we go, is closed. So the last thing we need to do is take care of this piece of yarn. Now, if you're going to use this as an applique, you might want to make sure you cut a little bit longer piece of yarn, because we're just going to take it up from the tail of the top of that stem to the center and weave it in. And if you left like a 10 or 12 inch piece of yarn, you can leave it for sewing it on to whatever you're going to sew it onto. And here is our lucky little 4-leaf clover. And it's so much fun to make them in lots of different colors.